Hey everybody, back working on the Mustang. Tonight what I'm going to do is attach the passenger side door to the car. I want to have the doors on and the trunk lid and as much of the sheet metal on the car as I can before I put on the rear quarter panels and the whole back end sheet metal so that I can use all of the other parts of the car as a reference. So the first thing I have to do is bolt these doors onto the car. They're really heavy, and since Colin's back at school, I don't have anybody to assist me, so I have to do it by myself. So I came up with a little way to support the weight of the door and allow me to position it so I can bolt it to the hinge mounting bracket on the car. So let me show you what I have set up here and how it's going to work. Alright, so here it is. This is the setup that I'm going to use. You see I have a couple of sawhorses. And what I did was screw a couple of 2x4s across the legs. What that's going to let me do, there's the car, is put the door in between these horses on top of those 2x4s and position the door so that I can get the hinges that are already mounted to the door aligned with these two positions on the car. If you look up here at the top where these three holes are, and then there's another one down here at the bottom. Those are the two locations where the upper and lower hinge mount to the car. So you need to be able to align the hinges on the door with those two mounting bracket holes. Alright, so here I am. Literally, it's been less than 10 minutes, and I've been just moving the door around. I put some wood shims underneath the bottom of the door, and I pretty much have this top hinge lined up close enough where I can get the bolts in on the top, and the bottom one also looks pretty good. I got a light back there so you can see light coming through all the holes. That one's a little crooked. I think I can tweak it on the door as well and get the hinge to rotate a little bit up. So what I'm going to do now is let's go around to the back side and I'll show you what you have to do to get the hinges put on in the back here. But here you can see, this is the back of the door. I'll pull out a little bit. There's the door. You can see the upper and lower hinges mounted to the door first. Here in the car is the back side of those three holes on the pillar where the hinge is attached. And you can see that the holes it's a little high, actually, I can tell now. I'm going to have to try and lower it. I'll do that by lifting up the back of the door. And the way that the hinge is attached in the car, we have these, basically just threaded plates, you know, two plates. Here's one of them right here. So I have the bolts in it. But this is just a steel plate. I don't know, 1/4 inch thick. It's got 3 tapped holes in it, and you take these bolts out, obviously. So what you do is you put the plate in the car like this on the back side. The bolts go in through the hinge from the front side, and you just pinch the hinge to the car using this plate as like a big nut. So you can see why you need to have the door supported, because I have to be in the car actually to get this plate in position, and I have to put the bolts in from the outside. So let me get the door lined up a little bit better, and we'll put the bottom hinge, a couple of bolts into the bottom hinge. You can see that the holes in the hinge are perfectly centered in the middle of the openings or the holes in the car. So now I'll just take this hinge plate that I showed you before, which is just a big steel plate with 3 tapped holes. That goes on in here like this. And then the bolts come on from the outside, and you just bolt the hinge into the car like that. Alright, so I'm just going to leave the camera run right there. Let's see what happens. I'm trying to do this kind of blind side. I think it might be easier if I took a little screwdriver or something and shoved that through the hole from the outside and at least lined up that plate. Alright, so now I'm going to take a screwdriver from the outside of the car and get that hole lined up. Now let me see if I can get the next bolt hole lined up with the bolt. Kind of working a little blind here, so. I gotta come around and see what's going on here. Something's going on. Oh, okay, no wonder. Alright, so the plate has moved a lot. Let me see if I can. See, the problem is I can't reach. Okay, okay, I can get it a little bit. I can't get the. Bumping the camera here. The problem is that I cannot reach the bolts from the outside. I mean, I can't do it from inside the car here. Alright, now this has actually caused a problem. This is supposed to be like this. This notch goes up and towards the back of the car. So this is going to fall out. Okay. So this is where you really need two people. You know, I think maybe if I line up two of the holes and then put a bolt in the third one, that'll be a lot better. So let me do that. All right, it took about another 10 minutes, but you can see here I've got the front bolt installed from the outside on the car. Now I'm going to try and install the other two. I left that drywall screw, it's not screwed, it's just put in there loosely, in the bottom hole. And now I'm going to try and get the bolt in through the top one. I'm going to go outside and do it from the outside. So I'll leave the camera running and let's see if you can watch me do it from inside the car. The first thing I did was I had this little screwdriver out here and I put the screwdriver through the holes to try and line up the plate. And the problem now is that the screwdriver is kind of long and it goes in on an angle. But it was close enough. I got the bolt in. Alright, so now I have two of them in. You can see that bolt sticking through. So now I will do the last bolt. Shoot this one out. This screw out. I'll just take it out. And hopefully this thing is aligned close enough now that I can just put this bolt in and it can go right in the hole. And it pretty much did, yep. So now let's do the upper hinge. Alright, so you get these holes lined up. I can see that this hinge is a little low. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shim, the cardboard shim that I put in the back, take that off, and by lowering the back that should raise the front. Hopefully I don't bend the bottom hinge. Right now I'm trying to wear gloves whenever I handle the door so I don't get too much dirt or oil or anything on the door itself. This door is really heavy too, that's another thing. It weighs, I have the window regulator in this one, so it weighs a ton. And that actually works pretty good. Let's see. Yeah. I just need to push the hinge a little closer to the car. It's a little on it's still a little on the low side. I still like to raise the door up a bit, but once we get the hinges at least bolted in lightly, then it's a lot easier to do all of that. Oh yeah. Give you a quick look at what I'm seeing here. Gotta be careful with this tripod extension, but you should be able to see light coming out of all three of those holes in the hinge. They're all lined up pretty good. You know, if I just tilt the door forward a little bit like this, you know, that mounting plate's going to go in there, and then we'll be able to tweak the position of the door to get it where we want it. Okay, so it's the same exercise as we did on the bottom hinge. Just get it into position and get the bolts through the holes. I don't think it's worth showing you that all over again, so let me come back when I'm done. And we'll see how long it takes. Okay, so one more thing on that upper hinge. I'm in the car right now. I know it's hard to tell, it's a little dark in here, but this is the hole where the glove box goes. And if I just look over here, you can see that the bottom hinge mounting plate is really easy to get to once you have the kick panel out and all the interior of the car gone. The upper one's a little different. This is the vent, and the hose to the vent is still hooked up. So if I go into the hole here, now you can see it, where the glove box would be, that hinge mounting plate, I can't get my hand in there without blocking the whole camera. It's those three red dots, you know, up here when I take my hand out of the way. There's no way you're going to take your doors off, passenger door, and put it back on without taking that glove box out. You know, and I would advise you to rip out all the interior close to like what I've done to make it a lot easier. You know, I could even take this heater hose out. I'm not going to do that right now, though I can get this thing in and out that way. But there's no way to do it if you don't have to, you know, half the dash taken apart and the glove box out. Alright, so here comes the moment of truth. I'm going to remove the sawhorses from underneath the door and let the door hang on the hinges for the first time in a long time. Actually, I should probably make sure that the bolts that are holding the hinge to the door are tightened up just to make, you know, just so it didn't get loose. Let me do that real quick first. And that's easy to do from inside the car. I didn't loosen up too much at all. Do that real quick. That's good. Not going anywhere. Alright, so I have some clearance under here. That's not on the hinge, that's not on the sawhorse anymore. And let me see if I can get this one. This one's really heavy. That's it. The horses are not supporting it. Let me just drag this out of the way. Let me just jump out of the way here. And there it is. Look at that. I know it's not going to come close to being right when I close it, but just for fun, let's give it a test and see what happens. But I got to be careful because it could be hanging too low and I don't want to mess anything up down at the bottom here. So I'm going to look really closely. In fact, I'm going to take a close look right now and make sure that there's nothing going on funny with this corner down here. It looks like it's getting close. Put my glasses here. Alright, it's clear right now. And then what's going to happen back here? Alright, so yeah, the door has to go forward a lot. But you know, that's fine. I have the ability to do that in the hinges. So that's as much as it'll close. I'll get the camera around over here and show you what's going on. It's really funny looking. Okay, so here's the back end of the door. And I'm not gonna fool with it too much right now. But you can see that it's not even close. The door is very low. But that's easy to fix. You know, you just loosen up the hinges on the car, you lift the door up, tighten them up. But that'll be the next project, to get the door aligned to where I think it should be based on, you know, the rocker panel at the bottom. And I left this B-pillar, I guess that's where the door closes. I left the old door latch on. So if I can get it to shut and look good there, then I think it's in the right place to put the quarter panel on. So that's it for now. That's good for tonight. Just going to put everything away, and we'll get back to getting this door adjusted next time.